All right, welcome to week 15. This week we address the twin issues of religion and ideology in comparative politics. The author's introduction to this chapter notes how the scholarship concerning both ideology and religion has evolved since the middle of the 20th century. In the 1960s, most comparativists believed that modernization would displace both ideology and religion. The prediction was that as more and more nations became advanced economically, they would develop large, prosperous middle classes. Theorists going all the way back to Aristotle believed that polities dominated by middle class concerns, stability, security, prudence, would increasingly be resistant to the manias that characterize religious and ideological movements manifested in politics. This chapter is organized similarly to the other chapters. The authors begin by addressing key concepts addressed in the chapter, including the ideas of modernity and modernization, ideology, religion, secularization. I actually teach a course on ideology for any of you who are interested. What do the scholars mean when they deploy a term like modernization? What do they think is happening when countries modernize? We should always remember that existing regimes in the developing world want to modernize in ways that sustain them in power, and that shapes how modernization is perceived among the populations in the developing world. The authors also address the role modern ideology and modern forms of religion play in politics. An important part of this chapter is the causes and effects section that explores the issue of why ideology remains prevalent in modern politics. Given the expectations of the mid-20th century scholarship, we should be reminded of one of Nietzsche's admonitions: any meaning is better than none at all. And a lot of times when norms are breaking down, people just cling to whatever sustains them, whatever life raft they can find. I think that the thinking comparatively section is also very important. The authors address the issue of populism and the status of populism as a 21st century ideology. My take is that populism is not really an ideology, it's a tactic. It's a way of appealing for political support that can manifest itself as a left-wing populism or a right-wing populism. Left-wing, think Hugo Chavez; right-wing, think Hungary's Viktor Orban. So it can go all over the ideological spectrum. We just have the weekly quiz and forum for gradable assignments this week. Our country for profiling this week is Saudi Arabia, which again doesn't have a profile in the text, so you need to do a little research. What are the key demographic features of Saudi Arabia? What kinds of government do they have? What is Saudi Arabia's economic and military status in the region? Dig a little bit beneath the oil wealth and the sheiks and limousines and look into Saudi political culture and the realities of Saudi citizens who are not members of the House of Saud or their immediate supporters. Particularly look at the situation with Saudi women and the recent loosening of restrictions on Saudi women. How far is the regime prepared to liberalize gender relations in Saudi Arabia? What is the likelihood that this initial round of liberalization will create room for a broader movement? And if such a movement takes place in Saudi Arabia, what's the likelihood you could see a gender equity movement emerging in the Middle East more broadly? All right, let's have a great week. We're almost done.